Hello, good evening, and welcome once again to our webinar. My name is Evelyn Anwabiri. And I'll be your host for this webinar session today. So this webinar seeks to answer a few questions on our minds as young adults. It seeks to answer questions on how to build wealth, how to invest, where to invest, and at what age is appropriate for us to start investing. So we have one seasoned young man who's going to take us through, educate us on what we need to know about investments and savings, and he is in the person of Kwaku Ayisa. He's a business development officer with the Secure Pensions Trust, and he'll be taking us through this session. But before we start, and before I invite our speaker on, I want to ask one question. Who or which of us here would want to have wealth? I want to see some responses dropping in the chats or raising of our hands. I want to know, those of us that want to make wealth or want to build a lot of wealth. Me, both hands are up because I really, really want to be wealthy. So let's see which of our participants want to be rich, which of them want to be wealthy and retire comfortably. Okay, so Anne says she wants to be wealthy. Anyone else? Jacob says he wants to be wealthy. Hey, Mami says, I want to be wealthy. Emphasis of I want to be wealthy. Abinal has put 2 hands up, meaning she really, really wants to be wealthy. Okay, so I'm not the only person who wants to be wealthy. So I think we are at the right place. And so our speaker today would be educating us on how to create wealth, how to build it, and what kind of options are available to us. So as I said, he's in the person of Kwaku Ayisa, Business Development Officer at Secure Pensions Trust. And for those of us who don't know what Secure Pensions Trust is, Secure Pensions is a corporate trustee licensed with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. And we are a corporate trustee that's been licensed to manage Tier 2 and Tier 3 contributions and pensions in Ghana. So for those who don't know what Secure Pensions is or who we are, this is who we are. We manage Tier 2, we manage your pensions. We help you to retire comfortably and to help you to save and invest. And today we are just helping you to know what, give you tips on how to make this wealthy dreams that we have in our minds a reality. So I won't take much of our time. I would want to invite our speaker, Mr. Kwaku Ayisa, to introduce himself, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evelyn, for the wonderful introduction. I think you said a lot about me already. So it's almost like you've done my job for me. I'd just like to say my name is Kwaku. I'm quite passionate about seeing the young adults of Ghana and the world actually being able to build their wealth through savings and investments. And you realize that nowadays in Ghana, it's becoming a bit harder for individuals to save and invest due to the way the economy is performing currently and the rising cost of prices in the country currently. So this evening, we are just going to go to the savings and investment of practices you can each take from here in order to better improve your savings and investments culture, and then eventually you'll be able to generate enough wealth to both live happily at retirement and even before retirement, you have enough to take care of yourself when the need arises. So Thank you very much for having us this evening, and welcome to.
Well, well said. And I don't know who is as eager as I am here to learn or to pick up some tips. So let's just jump straight into the conversation and the purpose for why we've all gathered here. Kwaku, can you kindly tell us what are savings, what are investments?
Excellent question, Evelyn. And if you don't mind, with your permission, I would like to just share my screen.
That's fine.
Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen. I'll just like a show of hands from all those who can see my screen, so you know we are on track. I see a few hands. All right, good. MTN is not disgracing us. So, we realized in Ghana, in a lot of the conversations we have in our local parlance, when we say savings and investments, usually they go hand in hand. You hear people say, you know, my savings for her say, or I have investments here, and it kind of mix them up a bit from time to time. So when you Google what savings is, what the Oxford Languages Dictionary tells you is that savings simply means to keep and store up something, especially and usually money for future use, which is why I brought Ghana's famous Susu box here. If you are like me, when we were growing up, this Susu box would have been one of your closest friends because you know that you can do your savings in there, and then at Christmas time you have something small with which to buy a gift or buy a toy or a football for yourself. So basically, you just put your small coins inside at the end of every day, and then once the box is full, you break it open and you take the bounty that you gathered for yourself over the period of time. So that's what savings basically is. Now, with investments, the difference between savings and investment that with investment, you are looking to put money into financial schemes or shares or property or a commercial venture for the entrepreneurs on the chat today. So you are looking to put money into any of those assets, then you are expecting that at the end of the day, you are going to achieve a profit or you are going to get some returns from the money you've put into that venture. Now, this shows that there's a key difference between savings and investments. While savings is simply the act of saving the money or putting it aside for future use, it does not necessarily attract a profit. With investments, there is the attraction of profit or interest that comes with putting the money aside. So you're not just putting the money aside for putting it for just the sake of savings, but you're looking to gain a bit more on the money that you put aside.
Oh, okay. So that's savings and that's investment. Wow. Okay. I thought I knew it, but I actually didn't. Thank you very much for that insightful description of what those two components are. So I want to ask, what's the difference between savings and investments? What are the key differences between savings and investments, if I should ask?
So like Sorry, I hear I was muted and I was going on and on. Apologies for that. Let me take it from the top again. So, like I was saying, and apologies for being muted. So with savings, like I was saying, you are looking at the objective of your savings. I hope everyone can hear me now. Okay. Thank you, Mami. Sorry about that. So with savings, you are looking at the objective. So usually, like I was saying, savings is for a shorter term and it's used for a small purchase. So maybe your phone has gotten spoiled and you realize that you need a new phone. So you put money aside regularly on a monthly basis, and then you try and buy the phone at the end of the period. Or like I used the Susu box example, you know that Christmas is coming soon. So you buy a Susu box and then every month you put a little money inside the box. Then in December, you break the box apart and then you use it to make your purchase. Now with investments, the key is that you're looking at a longer term period. So you are usually thinking about a larger purchase or trying to get significant returns on your investment. Now, another aspect that shows the difference between savings and investments is the issue of investment returns. So with savings, usually when you put your money aside, you are getting very low to little returns on the money you put aside. I mean, if you put money in your Susu box every month, is the amount of money that you put inside that is going to be there at the end of the period when you open the box. You're not going to get any extra money, so there's hardly any interest on that. However, investment has the potential to yield higher returns on whatever money you've put aside. So when you put the money in, you're expecting a certain return from it. Another key factor that we should all consider is inflation. A lot of us will attest to the fact that inflation is quite rampant these days around the world and especially in Ghana. What the amount of fuel or food you could buy with 100 cedis at the beginning of the year, just 3 or 4 months into the year, you can't buy the same amount of fuel, that same amount of 100 cedis. So usually savings doesn't protect against inflation because you're not getting any return. So if you had put aside, say, 100 cedis at the start of the year, that you're going to buy a bag of rice in April, and the price was 100 cedis. At this point in time, that 100 cedis will no longer be able to afford the bag of rice. So inflation would have eaten into your funds. But with investments usually has the ability to provide a bit of protection against inflation. This is because of the returns that are coming to the investment at any point in time. Another key difference between savings and investment is that of liquidity. Now, when you hear liquidity, I mean, a lot of us sat in science class, so immediately think of water. But we are not talking about water here, but water makes a good example to explain liquidity. So liquidity is basically how easy it is to change funds from one state to another. So you are changing your money from an investment into physical cash that you can spend. So with savings, when you put the money in the bank, it's more liquid in the sense that you can easily go back and go and take that cash and then use it for yourself. If you put the money in your Susu box, it's more liquid. So you can just imagine savings to be like a sachet of pure water that is not frozen. It's very easy to open the pure water and pour the money out. However, with investments, you have lower liquidity because usually the money would have to be liquidated or turned back into physical cash from your investments in order for you to be able to receive it and to spend it. So whilst the savings is more like pure water that is straight from the bank, the investment is like pure water that has been put in the freezer for a while. So it's a little more solid. It takes a while for it to thaw out, for you to be able to use it. And finally, is where you are keeping your savings and where you are keeping your investments. So with savings, you are probably thinking of a Susu box. You are thinking of your savings accounts and other such places where you are getting very little returns, like I said earlier. With investments, you are looking at things like treasury bills. You are looking at things like personal pension schemes, which we run as secure pension trusts, and other shares and also funds on the equity market. So these are the key differences between savings and investments, Evelyn. And I think it's good that we all try and figure out what we need and when we need it. So if you are looking at a shorter term purchase and are not too worried about interest coming into the fund, you should be thinking about saving. But if you are thinking long term, some projects you want to do in say 5 years, 10 years, then you should be looking at investments.
Interesting point about the pure water bit of it. I mean, I think now when I hear savings, I'll instantly think of pure water. That's quite interesting. I would like to ask our audience a question, and the first person to give us the right answer would be winning some airtime from us. So the question I want to ask is, if you had the choice or you were given the preference of being given 1,000 cedis today and 1,000 cedis tomorrow, which of these options would you pick and why? So I give audience 30 seconds. Kindly type in your answers through the chat, and let's see who gets it right and answers. Okay, so the airtime is going up, but someone has already dropped her answer. Let's see whether it wins anything. So I want to see the answers, and then we'll pick the right one after her speaker has given us the right answer, and then the person gets his or her airtime sent to her. Okay.
Evelyn, I want to ask, can I also put in my answer and get airtime?
No, please. You're not part of this.
Oh,
this is for my cherished audience that have taken time out to join us today. So sorry, you're not part of this, this competition at all.
That's not fair. Times are hard. Free credit is nice. I see a few answers.
I'm seeing the answers dropping. People are wild.
Hey, Eugene said you need to give us a reason.
So the question is for you to pick one option and give us a reason.
I see a few today's.
Why you're choosing that particular option? Okay.
I see a few tomorrow's.
Some are picking their money now. Others are saying tomorrow. Okay. So I think I gave 30 seconds. I've gotten a few answers coming in, and then, okay. So I think our 30 seconds are up. I would like our speaker to kindly tell us when and why I should start investing funds at this point. So when and why should I start investing? And let's see whether we'll get our answer from there.
Thank you very much, Evelyn, once again. And when and why? I like your question. It's a double-ended question, the when and the why. And I think when it comes to investing, we should all consider the when we are investing and the why we are investing. And we should merge the two together in order to take a critical decision about when we want to start investing and why we should start investing. And Evelyn, a friend of mine once, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine once, and he made an interesting comment. We were talking about savings and investments and how generally you should start saving early and all that. And he said something which stood out to me. He said, the best time to start saving was yesterday. The best time to start saving was yesterday. And the next best time to start saving is today. What he was trying to say is that it is not good for you to put off saving to tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow my salary will increase. And tomorrow I will have a bit more loose cash in order for me to be able to start saving. The best time to start saving, he said, was yesterday, which has already passed. Then the next best time is today. So I think all he was trying to say is that you should start saving now as soon as possible and as soon as it's practical. And I have a small illustration which will sort of put an emphasis on where you should start saving now and not tomorrow. So as you can see, I have Evelyn here, beautiful Evelyn, and myself. I like to think I'm also a handsome person. Maybe not as fine as Evelyn, but I'm not too shabby myself. So basically, we're just going to look at the two of us deciding to, let's say, start an investment in any of the secure pension schemes after we've heard of the webinar. Okay, so we are looking at a return of about 16% per annum. So every year, the fund is returning 16%. So in this scenario, Evelyn joined the webinar. Evelyn heard me talk for about 30 to 45 minutes about the difference between savings and investments, how you should build wealth through savings and investments. And Evelyn immediately decided the following day, like I'm hoping some of you will, that she would start saving 100 cedis a month from her salary that very day. So the next day she called Secure Pension Trust. She was set up. She was given a direct debit form to fill, and then every month she transfers 100 cedis into her account for the next 20 years. Now, I also joined the webinar, but I decided that, I thought saving 100 cedis a month was a bit small. I mean, I'm a big boy. I want to bamba and chill with the big boys. So I decided that let me wait for 5 years. When my salary is increased, then instead of 100 cedis a month, I would rather save 200 cedis a month in my attempts to sort of catch up or overtake Evelyn's 100 cedis a month. Now, if you look at the graph in the middle of the screen, what you realize is that whilst Evelyn's 20-year 100 cedi a month savings led to the actual amount she saved being 24,000 Ghana cedis, which is the 12 months times 20 times 100. Her interest was 148,644 Ghana cedis. Now, my 100 cedis a month, which I started in 2027, 5 years after I heard the news about savings and investments, actually gave me a larger base, a larger, what's the word? Larger amount that I've put aside. So I have 36,000 Ghana cedis foundation. However, you realize that my interest, because of the 5 years I lost when I didn't start saving, was rather 111,746 Ghana cedis. So even though in actuality, I saved more money than Evelyn, I actually earned less interest than her. So at the end of the day, Evelyn's total amount that she had available to her was 172,644 Ghana cedis, whilst the total amount I have available to me is 147,746 Ghana cedis. And no matter which figures you play with, this is almost always the case because the earlier you start saving, the better you are. And the reason is on the very next slide. So this is the power of long-term investing. So another friend of mine always says that investing is a marathon. For a lot of Ghanaians, you realize that, Evelyn, that for a lot of us, we are looking for quick or instant gratification. Ghanaians give money to a investment account and they are asking you, saying, how much am I getting tomorrow? How much am I getting at the end of the year? And when you hear the interest rate, if the interest rate is 16% and you save 10,000 Ghana cedis, it means at the end of the year, you're going to get about 1,600 Ghana cedis. Now, for a lot of them, they feel this is small. But the trick to investment is that you shouldn't be thinking of short term. You should rather be thinking of long term. The reason why you think of long term is that it helps you take advantage of what we call the power of compounding. A lot of us were in primary school, we did mental. So we know how compound interest works. You have your principal, then it generates interest. And then the principal and the interest is rolled over again. And then that keeps on generating more interest for you. So the longer you stay in an investment, the more disciplined you are in the investment, the greater the revenue you are going to see. So in this table, it's just showing you how much you are going to earn. Should you save 50 cedis consistently over a 20-year period at a rate of 16%, like in our previous slide? So you realize that after the first 5 years, your total contribution is going to be 3,000 Ghana cedis, and your interest is going to be about 1,500 Ghana cedis, giving you a total benefits of roughly 4,500 Ghana cedis. But if you look at the 10-year period, if you keep contributing regularly, your total contribution has now doubled to 6,000. Sorry, but your total interest has more than tripled to 8,629. This is simply because of the effect of compound interest. So as you stay disciplined, as you keep investing, as your money keeps rolling over, the interest earns more interest, and you just keep earning more and more and more, and it goes on until the 20th year, where even though you save just 12,000, your total interest is about 74,000 Ghana cedis, giving a total benefit of 86,000 Ghana cedis. And this is just at 50 Ghana cedis here. I'm sure the participants we have today, the people in the audience actually have more money. So they'll be looking at doing 100 cedis, 200 cedis, 400 cedis, even 1,000 Ghana cedis if possible. And the more you put aside and the more regular you have with your contributions, the greater you see your money grow over time. Thank you.
I think the graph you showed, I want to actually beat Kwaku in that race to save. So right after this webinar, I'm going to start because that interest is very, 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 very juicy. I don't think I want to be in Kwaku's shoes with what I've just seen. And I want to just ask this question. You know, in Ghana, we have this saying that if you tell someone, lend me 1,000 cedis, I'll pay you back in 1 year, 2 years. Know that at the end of the day, those 2 years will catch up with you. Most of us didn't know that we'll be turning. So when you turn 30, you're like, hey, I'm already 30. Wow, I didn't know time was going. The years come as so quickly, we don't even realize that the years are actually coming. And so if there's something you can do today, it's better you start now than to wait and say, oh, I'll start 2 years from now, I'll start 1 year from now. We've all seen that 1 year you are waiting would actually make a lot of difference in your pocket. So let's just take note of this power of compounding.
Yes, and to add to that, I've come to realize from a lot of conversations I've had with people that for a lot of us, in Ghana especially, what we do with savings, and it comes back to the susu box culture that we've developed. What we do is that when we are paid at the end of the month, or literally at the start of the next month, or we are given an allowance from our parents, we go out and then we spend the money first, and then we come back and save the remainder or the asie into our savings accounts. Interestingly enough, I read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. If you have a chance to come across the book, I entreat you to read it. It's quite a good book, and it talks about savings and investments and gives tips on how you can improve your savings and investment life. But not to stray away from the conversation, but in the book, Evelyn, it said that one thing a lot of people fail to realize is that they are working for other people. Working for other people in the sense that when you earn your salary, and the first thing you do is say pay your rent or buy and pay for your groceries, you are actually paying the grocery shop attendant a salary from your salary, and you are not paying yourself. So the book says that you should pay yourself first. Pay yourself first in the sense that once you know how much you're going to get every month. So once the money hits your account, you should be able to decide that I want to save this amount of money in my savings account every month, or in my investment account every month, or in my personal pensions account every month. Then you put that money aside before you start spending the rest. And once you are doing this, you realize that you become more consistent with your saving, because you are not waiting till the end of the month before you see what is left and then you save that. Because as the month goes by, the emergencies will come, things will come up. You want to buy that ice cream because the sun is hot, and you want to do other things. So they advise you that you should pay yourself first. And I think this is a mantra we should all take at the very least from this webinar today, that pay yourself first once your salary comes in. Pay yourself first by putting your cut of the money in an investment account. And then I'd also want to add on even that when you are paying yourself, sometimes we are too grand in our desires. Maybe you are earning 2,000 Ghana cedis a month. You know you can afford to put 200, but then because you want to make humongous profits, you decide to put aside 500 or even 1,000 Ghana cedis. This is not feasible because it will catch up to you. You either end up going back to take some of the money out, or you end up missing some of the contribution. What we are saying is that sit down, take your time, draw up a budget, look at how much you are spending in a month on average, and then decide how much you can comfortably put aside. Like the graph showed, it is better to put aside 100 cedis a month consistently over a long period of time than to put aside 200 or 300 at sporadic intervals.
Okay, I think Kwaku has said a lot. So now that all these things Kwaku has told me, I've decided in my heart that I want to invest. Kwaku, where do I go to invest? I really, really want to start. And how much should I even start investing to reach this wealth goal that I've created for myself?
Beautiful question, Evelyn. How much and where? And it's simple. How much? Let me start with how much you start investing. Evelyn, invest what is comfortable for you. And this is why I like the Secure Pension Trust personal pension scheme. Okay, so with our personal pension scheme, we are saying, look, we know people have different debts in their pockets. We know people are earning different levels of salaries in the country. But what we want to do is I want to make sure that everybody is able to put at least a little something aside towards their own future. So we are saying that, look, when you walk into our offices, right, whether you have 10, whether you want to do 10 CDs a month, 10 CDs a week, you want to do 50 CDs a month, if you want to do 5 million Ghana CDs a month, all you have to do is that you walk into our office or you call us and we'll give the details later. Just come, let us know, and we'll set you up. Now, the unique thing about the personal pension scheme is that it's actually generating quite significant returns on an annual basis. It's also very, very flexible. We're willing to listen to anybody who wants to talk to us, have a conversation and explain to you how it works. And then we'll just take you through the sign-up process. We have a number of ways you can make contributions, which I'll touch on in a later slide. So you can access the personal pension scheme if you're a worker in Ghana or you're self-employed. And also, we don't want to leave the young ones out. So we have what we call our Ashasiapa scheme. So this also falls under our personal pension scheme, and it's specifically targeted towards contributors aged between 15 to 35 years. So if you're on the webinar today, you're between 15 and 35, or you have a nephew or a son or a daughter or a niece who is between 15 to 35, for 15 to 18 years, because they are minors technically, you can open the account on their behalf. You register it in their name, but then the account will be tied to the parents. But however, if you are 18 and above, you can open the account for you, and then you just invest in that. You will see the returns grow. You just have to be consistent with your investments. Any amount that you feel you can do consistently, you can also do it. And of course, you can also always vary your amount. You can decide to do 100 CDs a month, but let's say this month your uncle has come to town from the US and has come to give you a few dollars to, try you in during the December. So when the few dollars come into your pocket, yes, go to Bloomberg, go to Osu, enjoy the nice life, but put something small aside from that 100 CDs. So maybe instead of 100 CDs this month, you do a 200 CDs this month. It doesn't spoil anything. You just help the money go faster and faster.
Am I the only person who is psyched to sign up to a personal pension scheme? I guess I'm not the only person. Just a way of information, if you have any questions alongside the presentation, you can drop them in the chat. If you have any points that you think you've taken note of that you want other persons to see, you can equally drop that in the chat. Yes, I want to sign up. Some parents probably are on the webinar now that are thinking, okay, I can do this for my son, I can do this for my daughter, I want to do this for my nephew or my niece, or I want to even do it for myself. But looking at how hectic Ghana can be, and maybe if you are like me, I'm very lazy when it comes to going to the bank and I'm going to open an account or something, and then go and bring your mother's birth certificate, and tomorrow go and bring this, and the next day go and draw the a direction to your house. Yes. And all these things, it sometimes puts us off in saving and even trying to invest. And so then me, I'll just put my money under my bed. Please tell me, how do I sign up to the scheme? And how do I make contributions? Do I have to go to the bank and go and stand in a long queue? Then they'll tell me the system is off. And I'll get up and go back home, come back the next day. How convenient is it to join the scheme? And how convenient is it to make contributions to the scheme?
Thank you very much, Evelyn. And for those in the chat, the reason why Evelyn doesn't like doing the bank accounts, especially with drawing the map with her, she's terrible with directions. Evelyn, sometimes you wonder if she knows left and right when she's giving you directions. That's why she doesn't like the bank.
I will not answer quickly on this one.
Yeah, I mean, a question is a statement, but fair enough. So yes, if you want to register for our scheme, we've actually made it very, very, very simple. Okay? So you can just send an email to clientservices@securepensionstrust.com. And what we will do is that one of our customer service reps will get back to you. This one will give you a form, and then you walk you through filling the form, and then we'll take the form from you via email. and then register you in the scheme and provide you with the details you need to start making payments. If you don't have access to emails, you can also call us on 0302 771 248 and 0596 911 635. Any of those two numbers, just call, you ask to register to either the personal pensions if you are salaried, if you are working, you are of working age, or if you are a young person that's between 15 and 35, you just ask for the Ashasia scheme and you'll be registered onto one of those two schemes, and then we'll just set you up from there, and then you can start making contributions from that point going. Also, I mean, of course, if you are the kind of person who you prefer to see the people you are giving your money to, you want to see us physically and believe that you won't run away with your money, you can always visit our office in Accra. We are in West Airport, 91 Badu Street. So we are just opposite the Kozo restaurant and adjacent Mary Mother of Good Counsel Church. So that is just a few, like 5-minute drive from the Villaggio buildings if you are going to West Airport. And also in Kumasi, we are on the 3rd floor of the House of Grace building, Edum. Now, once you are done with your registrations, the next thing is making your contributions, and then actually making the efforts to save and invest your cash. So in order to contribute, we have a number of unique ways. We have a USSD code, which works with all mobile money vendors, that's Airtel, Tigo, MTN, and Vodafone. So the code is *772 *308#. So once you dial that, you can input your member number after you've been registered, and then you can make a contribution. Any amount you want to make is fine. Once you send the money, it will be credited to your account. And then at the end of every quarter, you are provided with a statement showing how much interest has returned or has accrued on the funds you've contributed. You also have, you can also put in your investment in personal pensions or SPTL via cash, check, or a bank transfer at our Prudential bank accounts. The details are at the bottom of the box. And then you can also set up a standing order or a direct debit statement. Now, the fantastic thing about the direct debit statement, Evelyn, is the fact that I realized that it helps you automate your savings and investments. It makes it very, very, very easy for you to be consistent. So for myself, what I've done is I've set up a direct debit, and I've told my bank that, look, at the start of every month, or once my salary is paid on, for most of us in Ghana, salaries are paid on 25th. So I've told my bank that, look, on the 27th of every month, take 200 cedis from our account, put it inside my personal pensions account. So by the time I even go and see how much money is in my account, the money has moved to my savings account. So that before I start doing my day-to-day calculations on how much I want to use to buy my flour and how much I want to use to buy rice and oil and small Jenny to do my Anwamo, I already have my savings set aside so that I don't make the mistake of buying corned beef with my savings money and trying my move and then coming not wealthy. So we should all consider, especially the direct debit and the standing order. And I believe we are also looking to implement the automated deductions from the mobile money also in an update which will be coming to our USSD code soon. So if you want to do automation via USSD code also, that is also available. I'm sure at the mention of mobile money, a few people are worried about the e-levy and the impact it will have on our USSD code and mobile money transactions. We are aware of that, and we are liaising with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, who are regulators, on the impact it will have and if pension funds can be exempted from those charges. So once we have credible feedback from them, we'll share to everyone on this webinar. Again, we'll share to all our contributors also on how the e-levy is going to impact the pension fund, because as far as we are aware in Ghana, the Act says that pension funds should not be taxed generally. So this will also be a good avenue for you to be able to save and invest without suffering too much tax on your funds.
Thank you very much. And I would like to add one more point to what Kwaku mentioned when he spoke about the direct debit. So I've seen that some of our attendees are people that actually know are working in corporate institutions. And so, as Kwaku said, some people are just a bit indisciplined, if I want to use that word. the money has hit the salary account 25th. 26th, then I take my mobile app, then I move some money from there. Meanwhile, I know some direct debit is on the account. So what people actually do is that they tell their accountants in their corporate institutions that kindly debit my salary of this amount every month before you pay my salary into my account. So it means you won't even see the money hitting the account, let alone take it to spend.
Yes, I think that's true. That's for the more stubborn ones.
Like myself.
Yeah, like myself. The boys at the back of us. You know us.
Stubborn boys. So that option is also available to those who the money will go and sit in their account and they say, so I'm taking all this money to go and put in personal pensions or I shall say, no. The money won't even hit the account. Let the accountant debit the salary first before he goes ahead with the money. I think who has actually been very helpful. He's educated us a lot on how to build wealth. To build wealth. It means that this statement is quite deep. It means wealth is not just acquired just like that. You have to build it. It has to be like one brick on another brick on another brick, building the wealth. You don't just get up one day and the wealth is there for you. You would have to make a conscious effort to actually build that wealth. And so that's why this webinar has been organized for us, to educate us, to inform us, to give us the tips that we need to be able to make that conscious effort and actually be consistent with it. And I've learned a lot, and I will update our attendees on me beating Kwaku on that investment income raise that me and him are going to start.
So it's a challenge, Evelyn.
Oh yes, it's a very, very big challenge to you.
Fair enough. I would like to take you up on your challenge. We have 26 participants as our witnesses. So if any of you think that I'll be able to beat Evelyn in the challenge, just raise your hands in the chat. Those who are supporting me against Evelyn, just raise your hands. Let's see if I have any. Oh wow, no hands. Okay, those who are supporting Evelyn, raise your hands. Wait, I think is Lawrence supporting? Lawrence, are you supporting Evelyn or me? I'm confused. I think the hands are for Evelyn. This is not fair, but
how is this not fair?
Okay.
How is this not fair?
Oh, Evelyn, your sister is supporting Auntie Kate. Let's not. This is family alliance.
It is not family alliance.
But anyway, the race is on. If any of you also want to join the race, I mean, you can sign up. Let us know. We'll create a mini table and we'll join the race to see who can make the most from their investments over, let's say, the next 5-10 years. And then let's create a small group and see if we can invest and then help each other stay on track with our investments and see how far we can get with building wealth. It's not easy, but one step at a time, one brick a day, and we will get there.
This is on top of my head. I think Kwaku just mentioned something that struck a chord there for me. He's saying, let's put together a table and see. You know, you have WhatsApp groups for different purposes. Wouldn't it be nice to have a WhatsApp group for personal pension contributors there? So it means, Charlie, I'm going to drop my 100. Or have you dropped your own? Or you spent it on some pizza somewhere? Anwabiri, he has spent his own on Anwabiri. I think that is quite an interesting something we should be looking at. Maybe creating some kind of a WhatsApp support for those who actually want to invest and build this wealth. And then we'll be educating them, dropping tips there, and encouraging each other. Just like when you're going to exercise, you need someone to encourage you, to boost you to be able to do or meet that weight goal you are looking at. I think when it comes to wealth as well, once people are around, you know you have partners in this race to build wealth. I think, who knows, we are the Dangotes of Ghana in the next 10-15 years to come.
Amen. Strong amen.
So I want to ask, do we have any questions after this insightful presentation from our speaker. Does anyone have any questions that they want us to answer? And I have a surprise. So I'm seeing whether I'll be generous enough to share the surprise, but let's drop the questions first and see what happens.
Evelyn, I see a few people saying that you fully support the WhatsApp group. So I just want to say that after the webinar, probably tomorrow is Friday, right? Yes. So tomorrow we'll call everyone on the chat today, or we'll send a feedback form. Yes, we'll send a feedback form out to your emails and to your WhatsApp, and then we'll probably provide a question asking if you want to join the WhatsApp group. Then we'll give you the chance to include your phone number so that we can look into that. Since this just came up, we just have to discuss with our management about how best we can go about setting it up so that it's not too intrusive on everybody in their time. You know, people don't like to be getting WhatsApp messages at random times too much, but then look at the best ways to set it up so that it's of a benefit to everybody. And then also, Evelyn, I noticed that you haven't yet given the credits for the first question you asked. So I just want to, even though you said I can't get a question, I'm just fighting for my people in the chats. And also, if anyone has any question at all, kindly put it in the chat. I'm seeing a few going in the chat currently. So
okay, so Kwaku is fighting for his people. So I would announce who got the answer right. Mr. Eugene Oseapil, you'll be receiving your airtime very soon. Your speaker has fought for you. I would have done it back door, but he wants me to acknowledge you and let the people know that you answered the question. So please, we'll be sending you the airtime, and congratulations on getting the answers right. I'm seeing some questions dropping.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So the questions are coming. Patrick wants to know, what's the best way to do monthly contributions from abroad?
From abroad. When I saw from abroad, I remembered greetings from abroad.
Greetings from abroad, I know.
Now my age is showing. Thank you for your question, Patrick. From abroad, the best way, what comes to mind currently is probably a direct debit or a standing order into our Prudential bank account. We are currently working on a mobile app which would enable Visa card payment. So once that comes online, then you could probably pay with a Visa card directly into your personal pension account. But currently, the mobile app is not yet fully operational. They're just ironing out a few hitches to make sure that it's at the very best once it comes out. So I'll say currently, if you have an account there, you can just set up a standing order into our direct debit account. And if you don't mind also, when we contact you, you can just share your mobile phone number, and then we'll either call you or on WhatsApp call you, and probably have a discussion as to the best way we can go around setting you up to make sure that it's as seamless and as efficient as possible for you, Patrick.
Thank you very much for that answer. Ivy wants to know, and I think I'll take this question myself. Apart from the Ashasepa, which other ones do we do? So the Ashasepa is for the young adults, but the personal pension scheme is for everyone. So you can join our personal pension scheme. That gives you, as Kwaku said initially, gives you the ability to contribute as much as you want, as little as you have, and as often as you can. And so you can join our personal pension scheme. That's what the law allows you to contribute to as an individual. But there are other products which are tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, which are other ways of cushioning your pension or your retirement when you grow old. But for what you can decide and what you have control over, these are the personal pension schemes or the Ashasepa for our young adults. So that's what you can join for now. Yes, so I think I have answered your question. Mami is asking a question. Can we go over Kwaku, I beg you? Someone seems very interested. So please go over the requirements for me, I beg you.
Okay, so Mami, the requirements are simple, okay? just let us have your email address, or you can send an email to the email on the screen currently, clientservices@SPTL. Or you can call us if you don't have an active email address. We'll send you a form. So it's a very simple form. It's about just 2 pages. Just need your name and a few details just to be able to register you. And then we'll just fill that, and then you send it back to us with a copy of your ID card, preferably the Ghana card, since that is what is being mandated by all our governing bodies currently. So just fill the form, you attach your Ghana card, and then the account will be set up for you in less than 24 hours, and you'll be ready to start making contributions to it. Also, once the account is set up for you, we give you access to a portal, a client's portal, where you can go online, you can see the contributions you've made, you can see the interest that has accrued on those contributions. That's how much interest has come on it. And you can monitor how well it's doing, so that you can decide if you want to increase the amount so that you see much more rapidly. You do that also. You can also, I mean, of course, if you are in and around the West Airport or the Edum area in Accra or Kumasi, you can just walk into our offices and someone will call you. Tomorrow, when we send out the information, we'll also include the forms, and then we'll send it to everybody who joined the chat today, the webinar today, so that if you are interested, you just fill the form and then you send it to the email address. And then once we do that, you can just immediately start contributing. So we'll provide you with a member number once you. I hope I've answered your question, ma'am. If I have, just give me a thumbs up in the chat.
I think I'm excited because Patrick has said something and has actually attested to the fact that he can access his statement online 24/7. Patrick, thank you. This one, I think he deserves airtime on, because he's actually confirmed that the portal is working.
So we are giving.
Oh, I'll give Patrick.
For being a good witness.
10 CDs airtime going to Patrick. Thank you very much for that feedback on the portal, and we are really grateful for that honest and sincere feedback. And thank you for congratulating us and telling us we've done very well with that. Eugene is asking, so how often can I withdraw from my personal pension, and do I have to wait for a number of years before I can access the funds? Okay, so I'll take this question myself. You know, when Kwaku was talking about the power of compounding, we are saying you have to leave the money in there so I can compound interest over and over and over. If you start investing in the next 3 years or 1 year, you come and take a bit of money from there, you won't see as much effect as someone who would have left that same amount in there for a number of years. So normally would advise that you leave the money in there for quite a while for it to yield something of substance, for you to see the weight of the investments or the income that is coming in. But we know life happens. Yes, life does happen. And so if you should have an emergency to come and you really, really need money to settle that emergency, you are at liberty to come and withdraw a bit of the funds to sort it out. We are not really restricting you that you can't withdraw. We are just encouraging that you invest. But when life happens or when life hits you and you need some funds, we are always here. Our doors are always open. You can come in and speak to us, and you can be able to access a bit of the funds to go and solve these emergencies that people are faced with. So I hope Eugene has answered your question. Someone is asking, what is the portal, the link to the portal? So for the link to the portal, if you go onto the Secure Pensions website, once you open the Secure Pensions website, on the right top corner, you'll see a red tab that says Client Portal. Once you click on that, you should have access to the client portal. But mind you, you would need a username and a password to access the portal. So should you need a username and password, just send us a mail or call us. We will just send your credentials to you via mail for you to be able to access the portal. So I hope Priscilla answered that question. Mami says, I will get in touch. I'm interested, and I like the fact that one can access accounts online at any time. Thank you very much, Mami. We'll be expecting that call from you. Okay, so Priscilla says we've answered her question. If there are no other questions, I know tomorrow some of us are going to work. So I want us to go and sleep early. And whilst we are sleeping, we are consulting our pillows on all that we've heard to be able to pick the tips and actually decide that we are going to invest and save and build our wealth. I said I had a surprise for us. Big surprise, very big surprise. So something, it is something that would translate into money at the end of the day. So something exciting, very, very exciting is cooking in the secure pensions pot. It's about to be done. Then we'll serve it and prepare a table before ourselves and all take part in it. And so if you want to know what is coming up, by now someone will say, I thought she said she was going to tell us the price. If you want to know what is coming up, please follow us on our social media handles, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, any of the handles, and you will see the surprise that is coming up. So please follow us today. I want, after this webinar, I want to see my followings going up and up and up and up, like my investments will be going up very soon. So Mami is asking, does withdrawal come with any charge? And penalties if it's not within a certain period or oh, Mami, no.
Yes, okay. Sorry, I was struggling to unmute myself. Mami, like I was saying, so with our personal pension scheme, the way it's set up is that we not take any charges once you are coming to withdraw your money. So there are no charges. All the charges are already done in the back end before you see your interest and your contribution. So the charges are spread across everybody in the scheme so that it reduces it to as little as possible for everybody in the scheme. Then once you are ready to take out any money from your personal pension scheme, all you are going to have to do is you are going to have to fill a claim form. And then on the claim form, you indicate how much you are taking and which account it should be paid into. And the amount of money you see on your statement is the amount of money you are entitled to. You don't come to us and see 10,000 Ghana cedis on your statement, and then once you are ready to withdraw, we say, oh, we're only giving you 5,000. Of course, there's the caveat of the fact that, and I apologize, but I failed to mention the fact, if you are contributing pre-tax, so the personal pension schemes allows you to contribute either pre-tax or post-tax. So like Evelyn said, for some of us, we can go to our accountants and tell our accountants that, look, make the deduction before you pay my salary to me. So they can make that deduction before they pay tax. And then that will give you a tax saving to kind of increase the amount you can contribute. But once that tax saving comes on board, when you're ready to make a deduction, of course, it has to be before after a 10-year period of you entering the scheme. That's when you can enjoy the tax benefits. But if you are paying from your own pocket, like mobile money or direct debit or USSD code or walking into the bank to make a payment, that goes into your post-tax account. And for that, there's absolutely no charge, Mami. So that's basically all that you have to keep in mind. But generally, there's no additional charge coming from secure pension trust. The only charge that might possibly come is from a GRA when you're doing a pre-tax contribution.
Okay, I think we've kept our listeners on for quite a time, and we'll be wrapping up on the presentation. And I would like to say this session has been very informative. It's been very interactive and very interesting. And I believe that we've taken notes and tips on how we are going to build wealth through savings and investments. And I hope that tomorrow when I open my mail and client service mail, we'll be seeing a lot of sign-up requests coming through and we honoring those sign-up requests. And I'm seeing that a lot of people are quite interested in the WhatsApp group. So don't worry, once you have signed up to the webinar before, you'll be receiving mails and updates and anything, any kind of information that comes on about saving. And so once we agree that we are going to open this or open up this WhatsApp group for anyone who's interested in doing this investment or Asashipa contributions, we'll let you know. And then we'll try and build wealth together as a team. And so thank you very much, Kwaku, for that insightful presentation. I've learned a lot. I hope our listeners have also learned a lot and would, as I said, consult our pillows whilst we sleep this evening to make the decision to save. And I would like to thank our distinguished audience for making time this evening to have us speak to you. We wouldn't have had this webinar without you, and we are really grateful for taking time out to join us and have a wonderful evening. But remember, whilst you sleep, that the best time to save was yesterday, and the next best time to save is today. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Yes, Mami, we'll have someone call you first thing tomorrow morning to get in touch.
Okay, thank you very much, and have a lovely evening to everyone.